So I'm remembering a microaggression the other day. And it was in the mid-90s when I went into one of the top media employment placement agencies in New York City, armed with my loaded resume, the confidence my college degree was supposed to afford me, and ready to take on the media industry. After a battery of Microsoft Office tests, which I passed with flying colors, I was led into a large room full of cubicles. A white woman approached me, looked at my braided hair, and said, "We can't send you out on any jobs with your hair like that. It's unprofessional." These are the things you never forget. She expressed a microaggression, a racial microaggression. This isn't the first time, nor would it be the last time experiencing one. So I'm starting here. Let's unpack it. Here we go. All right, so welcome to Unpacking. I am Franchone. I would describe myself as a mother first, then everything else. You know, an educator, an artist, entrepreneur, and a knowledge seeker. Right? I'm just here for all of it. And I'm here today with my sister, Tracy Phillips. And I'm going to have her introduce herself.
Well, hello. Thank you for inviting me first and foremost. And yes, my name is Tracy Phillips, but I also go by Bliss B. That stands for Black Love is Simply Beautiful. And I do my focus in life as a mother, as a Black woman, as an educator, as a creative, is to do whatever I can, whenever I can, as often as I can, to promote Black love being simply beautiful around the world, especially in any space that I'm in. So that's me in a nutshell.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. That is Black is beautiful. Simply beautiful. Nothing simple about that.
Thank you.
So the topic for this podcast is microaggressions. You know, I mentioned that story right up in the front of the podcast about, going into the agency with my hair, in braids. Now, this is a style I had worn for almost a decade. These braids were so connected to my identity, and no one had ever said anything to me about my hair like that before. So it was a clear rejection of who I was from someone who obviously judged me according to her standard of professionalism. So I had to do a little research on this. And so Daryl Wing Sue is a Columbia University teacher professor, and she calls that particular microaggression a micro insult. And in fact, I've learned that there are many different categories of microaggressions that I may be experiencing unknowingly. So microaggressions are defined as a statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group, such as a racial or ethnic minority. That's the book definition.
But how do you define for yourself the term microaggressions? Like, how do you see it?
Well, just in layman's terms, when I think about a microaggression, I just think about those times when people say things to me that are like underhanded, and they might not realize it. Oh, like, oh my gosh, you speak so well, and they don't have to finish that off with for a Black girl. They don't have to say that.
Yeah, they don't need to say that part, right?
They don't have to say that part at all. Oh, your hair, like my daughter, we're walking in the store and they'll say something about her hair. And her hair is this is so different. It's so
but
unique.
But you know what? Your daughters have exquisitely beautiful hair. I mean, seriously, yeah, just full, beautiful. They're so gorgeous.
But but it's like when you, and thank you for that. It's like when you see it, though, when someone says it, and it just seems out of pocket. Like,
it's the tone, though, too. Like you can feel. You can feel someone's intentions, and it doesn't come from a place of, like, admiration. You can feel if it does or if it doesn't.
Right.
You can feel where it's coming from. And the intention behind what's called microaggressions is what's harmful, I think.
Oh, definitely.
To us on a daily basis.
Definitely.
Just for me, it's like, I don't know, it's just so many. At a certain point, when do they become macro? Because there's so many.
Exactly.
There's so many. I mean, just in reading a history book, in trying to choose a book for your child.
Right.
In trying to choose movies to watch with your family.
Right.
That include positive images of us.
Right.
They're so few and far between. Just because it's made by, for, and about somebody that looks like us, they might have internalized the microaggressions to the point where they're promoting the ignorance and the,
you just don't even realize it. So I have some examples, like when people ask you, like, where were you born? Oh, you speak English very well, or you're a credit to your race, right? That's not. You might think, oh, that sounds like a good thing, but what are you saying really with that? Like, or when people say
their expectations are that our race doesn't act as decent, or whatever they're seeing that's quote unquote good in you.
Right.
And it's not a compliment, because that means that your expectation is very, 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 very low.
Right.
For somebody with my skin color or my hair texture or my heritage.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And then people who say they don't see color, it's like that is like one of the worst things to.
I had that recently at work.
Oh.
I had that recently, and it was funny because this is a person that I talk to frequently, and we have very intellectual conversations. And when he said, "I don't see color," and I returned with, "But then if you don't see color, then you don't really see me."
Right.
You don't. I said, because the truth is we are different. And what's wrong with that?
Right.
What's wrong with that?
Right. There's nothing.
And then I got silence from a very intelligent person, but then it was silence. It was crickets.
Oh.
So.
Yeah. See, that's, and and that stuff, it in the workplace, you think about it, in all different places, like the school environment, and how it's really dangerous, if you're going to sit there and not actually see me and say, well, I don't see color. And then if you don't say anything about it, it seems like, okay, well, that's okay. And it's really not okay. It's not okay for you not to see me, because there's nothing wrong with me. So by you saying, well, we're not gonna address it, we're not gonna see it.
And the bigger thing, you know what I think though too? When you say, I don't see color, it's like you're saying, you're reinstating that whiteness, whether that be thought or skin color or heritage, is the standard. So anything that doesn't deviate from putting white at its center is standard. There's no color because there's only one right. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
Like
I didn't look at it like
central focus.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that. But when my girls were taking ballet classes, and we had to go find some ballet stuff for them. Yes. All right. I'm gonna come back. I want to talk about that. All right. So let's just take a pause for the cause real quick, and then and then we'll come back and talk about those type of microaggressions. Check out Obey Foundation, established in 1998 to provide programs and support individuals and organizations committed to youth and community wellness. ObeyFoundation.org. All right, so Yeah, the ballet shoes. When my three daughters were taking ballet class here in at their ballet studio, they, everybody has to have the ballet shoes, and the whole idea with ballet is that you're one line, like from fingertip to toe. And so it's supposed to kind of be the same color line. So there's no break in that. Now, if you're brown and you have on a peach shoe, there's a break in the color. So basically, you would have to, and this is something that, brown ballet dancers across the world, across the globe, have dealt with for so long. Why does it take until now to make ballet shoes in these different hues? And so they, there's a complaint, a general complaint among the people who are making these ballet slippers is that they can't accommodate all the varying shades of brown. So,
wow.
Yeah, so what happens is this becomes what is considered an environmental microaggression. So you don't see African Americans running to this art form if they're met with some type of obstacle. It's not welcoming. That's what it is. That's a perfect way to put it. It's not welcoming. And so that becomes a barrier, So now they're painting their shoes, because that's not gonna hold people back, So we'll adapt. We'll paint the shoes.
So what did you guys do when the girls were? Yeah, what did you do?
Yeah, so we went to a local ballet shop, and they happen to have some darker colors in there because they know that the demographic of our area needs that, and so they had the colors to accommodate.
Nice.
Yeah, and they even had the hosiery that accommodated the darker skin color, the skin tones. Good. And so it worked out, it worked out that this, that they were able to do that. But I see now Band-Aid is, going back to, because they said years ago they had the Band-Aids, so.
Here's the thing though, what we have to do, what we must do, and you know this because we come from a certain area that, we think outside of the box, is that space and opportunity to create a new business.
Right.
Now, it may not be enough money in that because there's not enough ballerinas of brown skin to purchase these items. I don't know. But there's, for example, Band-Aids. That's a brand name.
Right.
There's also there's called Browndages. Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
They're, a black-owned company, and they're called Browndages. So when we face things like that, which we have faced since the foundation of this country, America,
right?
It's like we either get emotional about it and hurt because it hurts, or we take that pain and we turn it into something that we can make a profit off of, or we can teach, we can turn it into a positive. Because Browndages did that.
All right, so let's take a break. And when we return, let's talk about Spike Lee and Do the Right Thing. Check out Drums for Life at drumsforlife.org. Hands-on healing. In 1989, Spike Lee released one of his most profound movies, and it received 3 NAACP awards and 2 Academy Award nominations. The movie was Do the Right Thing. This film deals with race and the tension that comes from environmental microaggressions, with an Italian pizzeria and a Korean grocery as 2 businesses that are established in this Brooklyn neighborhood. In this scene, pizza shop owner Sal, played by Danny Aiello, is challenged by Buggin' Out, played by Giancarlo Esposito, about not having any representation of African Americans on the wall. Buggin' Out sits alone at a booth and is about to take a bite into his pizza when his eyes dart to various black and white pictures on the wall beside him. He sees Babe Ruth, Frank Sinatra, and other white faces in frames on the wall. And then, it's like he's realizing something for the very first time.
Yo, Mook.
A couple of words of Thai words for
Okay.
Mookie.
So you know I'm still.
what?
How come you got no brothers up on the wall?
Man, ask Sal, right?
Hey, Sal, how come you got no brothers up on the wall here?
You want brothers on the wall? Get your own place. You can do what you want to do. You can put your brothers and uncles and nieces and nephews, your stepfather, stepmother, whoever you want. See? But this is my pizzeria. American Italians on the wall only.
Take it easy,
And you, hey, don't stop with me today.
What? Yeah, that might be fine, Sal, but you own this. Rarely do I see any American Italians eating in here. All I see is black folks. So since we spend much money here, we do have some say.
You looking for trouble?
Are you a troublemaker? Is that what you are?
You making trouble?
Yeah, I'm a troublemaker. I'm making trouble.
You're a real ball breaker. You're always coming in here looking for trouble, huh? Suppose I busted your head. How would you...
Mookie, you want to get your friend out of here?
Well, you gonna kick me out now? Or you gonna kick me out, huh?
No, I'm not kicking you out. You're kicking yourself out.
What? Look, we got some brothers up on the wall, you know?
go.
Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, you know, Michael Jordan,
go.
tomorrow.
Come on,
Okay.
get him out, all right?
Right. So I just learned that, and I just learned this from my reading recently, that that is considered an environmental microaggression. And an environmental microaggression has to do with the environment the spaces that we're in. And it's like racial assaults and insults and invalidations, you know, which are manifested in these environmental levels, these different environments that we're in. You know, like, should he have representation of the people who patronize his establishment on the wall? That's a question I always ask my students, and they're conflicted with that.
What kind of responses do you get?
Well,
I'm sure it's varied.
Yeah, it is. They're conflicted because some of them say, well, it's his place. He can do whatever he wants. And then the other side say, well, who's paying for him to even continue to have that space? I mean, if they're the ones who are going in and spending all the money there.
Right, because, I mean, I understand him having pride in his heritage as an Italian American. But he specifically is located in a black neighborhood. I wouldn't have hurt for that pizzeria, even though it's not real, but it's, you know, it's an example of real life.
Yeah.
To have, you know, black famous people on the wall. He didn't ask him to take down or deny his Italian heritage. He just said, put some black people on the wall. But there's a way to say everything.
Yeah.
So if that scenario was real life, the guy could have said it a better way. Sal could have responded a better way. But then that's a whole different, I mean,
that's a whole different movie. Yeah, because I mean, his name is Bugging Out, so you knew where this was going to go.
Right. But the thing is, Bugging Out is a real thing. Now, I'm from New York too. Bugging Out is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, people have these things, like, and again, microaggressions, that's why I asked you earlier, at what point do microaggressions become macro? Because if you're facing it at every point, everywhere you turn.
Right.
So Bugging Out is just like tired.
Yeah, think about,
tired.
Yeah, I think about, like, you know, our schools. You know, if you walk into a school building and you see all these posters up on the wall, you know, we have different posters that say, like, read, think, and write. But all these pictures of people in libraries and stuff, and you're looking at all these poster representations
all the time,
and there's no reflection of you in that.
Right.
Which I think things are starting to look a little different with posters and things like that,
and
because
the sad
people are more
thing
aware.
Is, it's 2020 though.
I know.
It's 2020, and we're using the words. You're right.
Yeah.
But you're using the word starting.
Yeah.
This particular year, 2020 particularly, has seen some changes that should have been done.
Yeah.
It took all of this. My goodness. But yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's very much a challenge. I don't know the answers though.
I know. I don't think any of us know the real answers to any of it, but you know, it's one of those things that gives you something to think about, you know, and at least we've unpacked a little bit of that, you know, just you know, and then, you know, you have to finish unpacking your bag yourself, and you know how that is. Sometimes you sit with that bag, you've gone on a trip, and that bag sit over there for a while before you get it completely unpacked. So, you know, but Tracy, I really appreciate you, and I thank you so much for joining.
I thank you for inviting me.
Conversation today, and I definitely look forward to having more conversations with you as we continue to unpack in the future.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Thanks. Check out franchon.com or on IG at I am Franchon. Thank you for listening to this episode of Unpacking, music from an open source and at Nile Waves. Editing by me. Like this podcast and make it your favorite. Subscribe. Unpacking with I am Franchon, giving you something to think about. And locate me on podcast platforms everywhere.